So friends, every few years, mobile silicon resets the game, and 2025 is one of those moments. Two giants, two philosophies, one battlefield. The Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 versus the MediaTek Dimensity 9500. On one side, Qualcomm, the seasoned king of performance, returns with a chip that doesn't just hit 4.61 GHz. It redefines what a smartphone can be, raw energy fused with intelligence. On the other side, MediaTek, it's no longer the underdog. Built on the same 3nm process, the Dimensity 9500 isn't chasing anymore. It's creating its own light, built on balance, precision, and quiet dominance. One is a calculated roar, the other a confident silence. Both are rewriting what flagship means in 2025. So friends, this isn't just a comparison video. It's the clash of ideologies. Raw power versus refined efficiency. Brute intelligence versus balanced mastery. So friends, buckle up because this is a Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 versus MediaTek Dimensity 9500. A war not just of numbers but of vision. And hey, if you're new here, then hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon because I'm all about brutally honest camera reviews, gaming reviews, smartphone reviews, and chipset reviews, and comparison videos like this one. So friends, the numbers are in, and they are loud enough to shake the silicon heaven. On AnTuTu version 10, where raw compute meets efficiency engineering, the results tells the story. The CPU of the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 achieved 1,212,902 points versus 1,043,247 points on the Dimensity 9500. That's plus 16.3% faster for Qualcomm. The GPU of the 8 Elite Gen 5 achieved 1,469,542 points versus 1,510,982 points on the Dimensity 9500. That's a minus 2.8 times slower, giving MediaTek a narrow edge in graphics throughput. Now the memory of the 8 Elite Gen 5 achieved 600,024 versus 667,254. That's a minus 11.2% slower for Qualcomm. Now the UX on the Gen 5 achieved 1,005,914 points versus 790,449 points. That's plus 27.3% faster in system fluidity for Qualcomm. So the score is 4,288,382 points versus 4,011,932 points. That's plus 6.9 over a lead for the Snapdragon. And that's the battle line. Qualcomm dominates CPU performance with its 4.61 GHz Orion CPU cores, and MediaTek dominates with its GPU, with its Smiley G1 Ultra. Now on the Geekbench 6, the pattern continues. Snapdragon achieved 3,596 in single core and 10,013 in multi-core versus the Dimensity 3,460 single core, 10,192 in multi-core. That's roughly plus 3.9 times faster in single core and plus 17.9 times faster for multi-core in Qualcomm's favor. Now, in raw compute GPU power, the Adreno 840 flexes again with 28,316 points versus 24,891 points for the Dimensity 9500, almost a 13.8% lead, even MediaTek packing more shaders on paper. So you may see that the winner is clearly the Snapdragon here, right? But it's not that simple. Not every smartphone will hit exact these numbers for either chipset. Their scores shift depending on the device they are inside, and I compared the top performing models. So if you see higher or lower result out there, don't panic. Now, if benchmarks are the scoreboard, now the CPU and GPU are the heart and muscle of this fight. First up, the Qualcomm. At the core of the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 lies Qualcomm's 3rd Gen Orion CPU, built on TSMC 3nm process. It's an 8-core setup featuring 2x prime cores clocked at 4.61 GHz and 6x performance cores clocked at 3.63 GHz, backed by 192 KB of L1 cache, 12 MB of L2 cache, and 16 MB of L3 cache memory. And it's built on ARM version 9.2/A instruction set architecture. Facing it head on this is the Dimensity 9500, powered by MediaTek's all-big core C1 architecture, also on TSMC 3nm and 3P node. It houses 8 performance-grade cores, one C1 Ultra at 4.21 GHz, 3 C1 Premium at 3.5 GHz, and 4 C1 Pro at 2.7 GHz, all built on ARM version 9.3 design with full SME support. This chip carries 16 MB of L3 cache plus 10 MB of system-level cache. So, in pure CPU performance, Qualcomm's 4.61 GHz Orion cores push ahead with roughly a 16% higher AnTuTu CPU scores and Geekbench 6 scores, which makes the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 the world's fastest CPU. Now, onto the brown, the GPUs, the real gladiators of the silicon war. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 wields the Adreno 840 GPU, clocked at 1.2 GHz, with 3 pipelines, 512 shading units, and a total of 1536 shaders, capable of 3.6 teraflops of raw compute. But what sets it apart is 18 MB of dedicated HBM VRAM, giving the Arduino direct memory access without relying on shared RAM. Then the Dimensity 9500 counters with ARM Mali G1 Ultra MC12 GPU, clocked at higher 1.716 GHz, featuring 12 pipelines, 128 shading units, and the same 1536 total shaders, pushing a massive 5.2 teraflops of compute power, about a 43% theoretical compute edge. So, the GPU of the MediaTek Dimensity 9500 is the world's fastest GPU, thanks to its higher clock speeds, and as you can see, it's clearly reflected in the AnTuTu V10 Scores. Now friends, every powerhouse needs a bloodstream, and in 2025, these two chips moves data like they've got rocket fuel in their veins. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 runs LPDDR5X memory at 5300 MHz on a quad-channel 4x 16-bit bus, pushing 84.8 gigabits of bandwidth and supporting up to 24 GB of RAM. It's lightning fast and balanced. It's a laptop-grade memory performance built for your pocket. Now, the Dimensity 9500 uses the same LPDDR5X memory and 4x 16-bit bus, but with a higher 10,667 MHz frequency, reaching 85.3 gigabits of bandwidth and supporting up to same 24 GB of RAM. Plus friends, MediaTek also introduces quad-lane UFS 4.1 storage, doubling the bandwidth of Snapdragon's dual-lane UFS 4.1 setup. So, the Dimensity 9500 wins in pure bandwidth and data velocity. Now friends, this is where speed meets sentient, where both chips stops running code and starts understanding it. At the heart of this new era, two different brains chasing the same dream: on-device intelligence. In pure power terms, the Snapdragon's Hexagon NPU processes up to 220 tokens per second in large language inference. That's about 70 to 85 TOPS of AI compute. Then, the Dimensity 9500's MBU 990 delivers a massive 100 TOPS of AI compute through compute-in-memory design, processing data directly inside memory to cut power use by 56%. So, architecturally, Qualcomm's AI engine fused with the Orin CPU, Arduino GPU, and Hexagon MBU through Hexagon Direct Link, letting the data flow instantly between cores like a digital nervous system. MediaTek, on the other hand, integrates AI at the memory level. Its CIM-based NPU eliminates data transfer delays entirely, achieving unmatched efficiency and throughput. So, in real use, the Snapdragon excels in adaptive AI tasks like contextual typing, real-time translation, voice recognition, and predictive assistance, where low latency and rapid context switching matter most. While the Dimensity dominates heavy creative workloads, capable of running 3 billion parameters large language models, generating 4K text-to-image results, and handling 128K token context windows, all offline. So friends, choosing a winner here is very difficult. I mean, they both excel in AI capabilities like never before. And friends, no one can match them. So we will declare a tie. Now friends, this is where intelligence turns visual, where performance meets perception. In 2025, both these titans don't just capture, they interpret. In raw compute power, they are neck to neck, but how they see is different. Qualcomm's 20-bit ISP delivers 4x higher dynamic range than 18-bit setups, with real-time semantic segmentation adjusting color and exposure per pixel. MediaTek's Image IQ 1190 runs each frame through the NPU 990, enabling raw domain AI HDR, motion tracking, and subject-based focus that locks into faces, pets, or cars at 30 FPS. For video, both go all out. Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 brings the advanced professional video codec APV, recording 8K HDR at 60 FPS and 4K at 120 FPS with multi-frame noise reduction and temporal filtering for cinematic night shots, where the Dimensity 9500 counters an equally fluid 8K 60 FPS capture, delivering cleaner motion and richer tones. Both support HDR+, Dolby Vision, and 10-bit REC.2020 color, but Qualcomm adds TruePic C2PA hardware authentication, a creative-grade feature that verifies every image at the hardware level. So in real use, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 offers studio precision, every frame calibrated and color balanced like a pro rig, where the Dimensity 9500 delivers cinematic warmth, softer tone mapping, and AI that enhances naturally, not artificially. And friends, again, both are tied. I can't choose a clear winner, as they are both at the top level. Now friends, all of that power means nothing if what you see doesn't feel alive. And this is where the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 and the Dimensity 9500 turns data into emotion, pixels into presence. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 drives QHD Plus displays up to 240 Hz and external monitors up to 4K 120 Hz. It supports Dolby Vision, HDR+, HDR, and HDR Vivid, all in 10-bit color with the full REC 2020 color gamut. Behind is the Adreno display engine, handling AI-based display uniformity correction and engine compensation, keeping every hue calibrated and every frame consistent over time. But the Dimensity 9500 takes a more adaptive approach with its Metaverse Smart Screen engine, analyzing each frame in real time to tone, brightness, contrast, and tone. It supports WKG plus panels up to 180 Hz, slightly slower on paper, but pair that with AI adaptive tuning that maintains clarity from daylight to one in darkness, and you got richer visuals. Plus, both create sound as the part of the picture. Snapdragon integrates the Snapdragon sound suite, offering 24-bit 96 kHz lossless audio, aptX lossless, and 3D spatial audio with head tracking for cinematic immersion. With the Dimensity 9500 answers with its AI spatial sound engine, which dynamically shapes tune, bass, and clarity to match what you are watching. So in essence, we have a clear winner here, and that is the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, because it supports external displays at 4K 120Hz, which is just insane. Now, power means nothing if it can stay connected, and in 2025, both the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 and the Dimensity 9500 redefines what fast really means. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 features the Qualcomm X85 5G modem RF system, the first built on 3GB release 18 5G Advanced. It delivers up to 12.5 Gbps download and 3.7 Gbps upload, combining MMF plus sub-6 GHz dual connectivity with uplink MIMO for extreme stability. Its 4th Gen 5G AI processor predicts movement, signal shifts, and network load, giving 30% faster AI inference and 40% better power efficiency. Whereas the Dimensity 9500 uses a 3GB release 17 modem, pushing up to 10.7 Gbps download on sub-6 GHz. It focuses on efficiency. Its AI network suit reroutes traffic in real time, cutting latency by up to 50% and reducing power by 10% during heavy data loads. On Wi-Fi, the story flips. Snapdragon's Fast Phoenix 7900 supports Wi-Fi 7, reaching 5.8 Gbps with high band simultaneous multilink, cutting gaming latency by 50%. With Dimensity encounters with Wi-Fi 7 triple band concurrency, peaking at 7.3 Gbps, while saving 20% power through Connect Ultra Save. Both support Bluetooth LE audio, multi-point pairing, and UWB for precise location and secure access. In short, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 leads on the 5G side with its Qualcomm X85 5G modem RF system, while the Dimensity 9500 takes the edge with Wi-Fi 7 performance, reaching an impressive 7.3 Gbps. So friends, who's the real winner? Well, that brings me to my final verdict. Now friends, in truth, there is no loser, only two visions of perfection, one forged from experience and the other born from evolution. Strip away the graphics, the gigahertz, the benchmarks, and what's left isn't just a silicon, it's identity. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 is a confidence incarnate, the chip that defines the standard. With its 4.61 GHz Orion CPU, Adreno GPU with dedicated VRAM and Hexagon AI engine, its raw speed turned intelligent, a chip that predicts, adapts, and performs like already knows your next move. It's Qualcomm at its boldest, precision and ambition in perfect sync. Then the Dimensity 9500 is the quiet storm. Its 4.21 GHz all-big Core C1 CPU, 100 TOPS GPU, and compute in memory design make it the embodiment of balance and elegance. It doesn't shout power, it proves it, delivering smooth, efficient performance across gaming, AI, and imaging with effortless grace. So friends, who wins? Well, if you crave brute power, instant response, and sheer dominance, choose the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. And if you value efficiency, intelligence, and fluid control, then the Dimensity 9500 wears the crown. Together, they mark the moment mobile silicon transcended specs, becoming something deeper, something almost human. So friends, this video wasn't just a comparison. It's a celebration of engineering, of philosophies, and of two chips that didn't just power the future, they defined it. So yeah friends, that's all for this comparison video. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new from this video. And if you did, then please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to never miss a review video like this one. And if you like this video, then give it a thumbs up and leave your thoughts in the comment section. I would love to answer them. So my name is Hamza, this is Head Stick, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you want to watch the full review of the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, then that video is right here. And if you want to watch the full review of the MediaTek Dimensity 9500, then that video is right here. Thank you for watching.